Good morning. We'll call this meeting to order for a public hearing on AeroVironment Ordinance 2000-004 and for the ICIP. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This public hearing is to discuss and allow public input with respect to a LEDA application that the county received for a project at the spaceport, the company AeroVironment. In December of 2015, the county adopted Ordinance 15-006, which is our economic development plan or ordinance, which is consistent with state statute. The project that AeroVironment has submitted is consistent with the ordinance and all the applications within the ordinance. They're requesting up to $500,000 of state funds be appropriated for this project. If the commission moves forward with approving this ordinance, the $500,000 would be, we would be the fiscal agent for that money for the project. They can spend anything from $0 up to $500,000, and it is all based on the number of jobs they create over time. And the money will be distributed based on the job creation. The ordinance and the application are all consistent with the county's ordinances pertaining to LEDA applications as well as state statute. I have heard some rumors, some buzz in emails and on the internet that these funds would actually go to Doñana for a facility or structure in Doñana. The funds would be used in Sierra County, and they would be germane to the spaceport.
That's a requirement of the local economic development grant, isn't it? They be used in the jurisdiction?
That is correct.
Yes. Questions, Commissioner? None.
Mr. Chairman, I do believe that you have one public comment. I don't believe that it are two public comments, and they are not related to this ordinance.
Okay.
I'd also like to point out that this ordinance did not get on the agenda for approval or consideration later in the meeting, and we would we'll talk to AeroVironment and the spaceport and determine whether we need to have a special meeting or if it can wait until next month.
Okay. And we don't have any public comment out in the audience, so we'll move on to the capital improvement plan. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, what you have before you is the annual requirement that we're required. We have to submit this to the state by the 18th of September. Kel has taken the lead in putting the projects together for us and doing an exceptionally good job at that. The items that we have, we need to, A, ensure that we have the projects that you deem necessary, and two, that we prioritize the first 5 projects in the list. Those get the most consideration at the state level. So the first project that we have, and this is a continuation from last year, the Sierra County Shuttle Program, requesting 2 vehicles for buses for the program, total of $150,000. The next project is the county complex parking lot. It's the new facility. It's paving the parking lot, and it's $100,000 for that project. The third project is Sierra Vista Hospital renovation. This is the old building and the tunnel that goes between the old building and their maintenance area. That thing is really having some engineering challenges that they need to improve, as well as to change the occupancy load in the old building. So they're requesting $900,000.
And that would be used primarily for administration and the kitchen, the renovation.
It would be the sprinkler system.
Yeah.
Asbestos abatement.
Yep.
And yes, sir.
But the purpose of the building is, the old building would be administration in the kitchen.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The next project is the Hillsborough Community Kitchen renovation. We have, over the years, sought funding for that project numerous years, and it's an ongoing project. We've never had enough to actually complete the project. They're requesting $150,000 now. Road Department equipment, they're requesting a total of $430,000, $150,000 in 2022, $200,000 in 2023, and $80,000 in 2024. The next project is a Hillsborough mobile radar speed sign, and they're requesting $5,000 for that project. The next project is a Winston Community Center, and they're requesting $150,000, and that's mainly for the roof and some inside improvements. The next project is Water on Wheels. That's for the fire service, and that's $300,000 we're requesting. Divide Wells Road Project, we're requesting $2,070,000. That is to actually get the engineering study and accomplish the work to create the shortcut to the spaceport and pave the Divide Wells Road.
That cuts off, what, 6 or 7 miles of the trip?
I know it takes 6 or 7 minutes off the trip, at least, depending on how fast you drive.
Yeah.
The next project is the Monticello Bridge, or the Bridge of Grace, and requesting $427,000. Ironically, this project is also one of the top projects that's listed in the Master Flood and Drainage Plan. This is one of the top projects, is to improve that structure. That infrastructure does not have enough drainage to allow water to go through, so they want to pretty much double the capacity of the bridge. The next project is a Monticello water system, and they're requesting $830,000 for that. Recall several years ago, we had the funding for an engineering study.
Yes.
The study's done. Now it's just moving forward with the project as funding's available. The next project is a Hot Springs Landing drainage proposal, and that's $157,000 to develop a drainage study for the Hot Springs Landing. We can't do a lot of road work improvements in the Hot Springs Landing area until we get that study accomplished first. And the next project is Sierra Vista Hospital ambulance. This past year, we requested $360,000 for 2 ambulances. They would like to get on an annual rotation of rotating 1 ambulance out, so the $180,000 is 1 ambulance. And that's the entire list, sir.
The projects in phases that have yes, does that have any weight on the approval of those funds because they're phased?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, it depends on the legislature at the time. Some years they want a shovel-ready project that you will actually complete the entire project. Some years when money's tied, they want to phase it in. We are projecting that money's going to be tied in this next legislative session.
My question centers around, with the phases, we'll have to go to the legislature for each phase.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions, Commissioners?
Do we need to read the public comment into the record?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, we do.
This would be on the radar?
Both of those are,
Okay, I see IP, I see that.
Yes.
Okay. This public comment is from Gretchen Kerr in Hillsborough. I would like to thank the Commissioners and the County Manager for the opportunity to comment on this project, but first wish to pass my appreciation for the support provided to the Hillsborough Community Center by the county. As the very recently elected president of the board, I have been impressed with the response of county maintenance personnel under the supervision of Mr. Ernie Armijo. Their help in recent weeks will allow us to keep the Hillsborough Community Center ready for disaster emergency use, and we hope a return to regular use in the near future. The Hillsborough Community Center is a major focus of activities in our unincorporated village, Kingston, and residents along New Mexico Highway 27. In the 26 years I have been in Hillsborough, it has hosted weddings, memorial services, meetings of volunteer organizations that make up the village function, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, public meetings, ping pong, movies, the library, and a cafe for evacuated Kingston residents during the Silver Fire. We also prepared meals for Hillsborough volunteer emergency responders and firefighters who arrived at odd hours during the Silver Fire. The kitchen area is used part of the center. Sure, it is used for serving food, coffee, and snacks during events, but is also used for meetings, refreshments after memorials, weddings, games, fellowship, and small private gatherings. It is the area of the Hillsborough Community Center that will open to anyone evacuated by fire or flood in the Hillsborough Fire Department service area, which stretches from Nutt to Kingston down 152 towards Cavallo. This area will warm or cool those evacuees, give them cool or warm drinks, and be their host for sources of help during uncertain times. Ensuring that it is energy efficient and safe is important to the community, and this project will update that part of the building. The work will also provide Sierra County residents opportunities for employment during the project. Members of the HCC board and users of the facility throughout the area appreciate your consideration of this project. Gretchen Kerr, President, Hillsborough Community Center Board of Management. And another public comment from Gretchen Kerr. Thank you for the opportunity to provide perspective on this project. My husband and I have owned our property on New Mexico Highway 152 since 1994. Living along the main street of Hillsborough is a mixed blessing. We see our neighbors and friends as they head to the post office or cafe, often stopping for conversations or to exchange news along the way. Pedestrian traffic is the norm for local residents, and the highway shoulders are our only sidewalks. Over time, unfortunately, the experience has been less pleasant. Increasingly, we experience loud speeding vehicles on a daily basis, some traveling more than 50 miles an hour through town. The posted speed limit is 30 miles per hour. Some drivers will flip us off and speed up when we wave, alerting them that people are on the road shoulders. I dread the evenings when I see the reflection of the flashing red light in my living room. It means another speeder has killed a deer near my home. In the past, we have told that no speed deterrents may be placed on the roadbed of a New Mexico state highway, so rumble strips are not an option. That leaves us only the option of deterring speeders with a speed indicator, occasionally accompanied by a deputy to issue tickets. If speed cameras were an option, I'd be fine with that too. I hope you will favorably consider this and other options that will provide a more permanent deterrent to highway users who believe the speed limits do not apply to them. Gretchen Kerr. Do we have any other comment regarding the capital improvement plan? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing. Now, are we waiting until 10 o'clock to start the regular meeting? So we'll be back at 10 a.m. to start the regular commission meeting. Good morning. We'll call the meeting to order for the Sierra County Commission, September 15th, 2020. Would you do a roll call, Clerk Shelley?
Commissioner Paxton,
Here.
Commissioner Day,
Here.
Commissioner Luna,
Here.
also in attendance, County Manager Swingle and County Attorney Cato.
Thank you, Shelley. Chief Tooley, since it's your birthday, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
What a privilege it is to recite that pledge. We've got some guests with us. I'd like to recognize Christy Wilson, our new Human Resources Director. Christy, welcome to the county. We're so glad to have you. And we've got Amanda Cordova from the village of Williamsburg that we'll hear from later, and Mary Jo Fall, who we'll also hear from later. We lost one of our community last week. Our condolences to the Tooley family and the loss of their matriarch, Maureen. We knew her as Mo. What a dynamic, wonderful individual, and she'll be missed, but I think that we will have a fond memory of her and all that she did, and the impress on her family that she left such a many strong things to remember and be proud of. So our condolences to the Tooley family.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I
Yes,
move
sir.
to approve or amend the agenda to move the CWPP plan update and the Williamsburg presentation under presentations and reports.
Move them two reports?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Luna seconds.
Moved and seconded. A roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxton,
Yes.
Commissioner Day,
Yes.
Commissioner Luna,
Yes.
Motion is approved. Is there a motion on the approval of the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Luna makes a motion, we approve the minutes for the August 18th meeting.
Commissioner Day seconds.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxton,
Yes.
Commissioner Day,
Yes.
Commissioner Luna,
Yes.
Motion is approved. I don't have any public comment, although Captain Aguilar just walked in.
Not Captain.
Oh, it's that Lieutenant Rodriguez? Sergeant Reyes. Help me
We'll
out
just
there.
keep going.
Eventually, we'll get
We're going
Sooner or
down.
later.
Sergeant Reyes, do you have anything for the commission? Do you wish to approach the podium and give us any updates or information?
In reference to,
Happenings at state police in Sierra County? If not, that's fine. Just give you the opportunity to speak if you wish.
no, just that we upped our patrols up on the interstate. We're trying to get back into the schools for community engagement. That's pretty much what we're working on right now. We're trying to hand out masks, at least without masks, instead of trying to give like sanitation or anything like that. Our plan is to give them a mask, and that would eliminate that problem right there and then.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming and being here. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Day moves to approve consent agenda items A through G as presented.
Commissioner Luna seconds.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxton,
Yes.
Commissioner Day,
Yes.
Commissioner Luna,
Yes.
Motion is approved. Presentation of reports. Mr. Manager.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, would you like to hear from our two guests first?
Okay, Mary Jo Fall on the Sierra County Community Wildfire Protection Plan. Welcome to our commission meeting.
Good morning. Thank you all for letting me come to the meeting today, and thank you for moving me to the agenda. I told Mr. Swingle it's pretty hard for me just to say my name in 3 minutes because I don't focus. So I am going to focus today. I did write a written report so I would stay on task. I come here today representing the Jornada RC&D, the Resource Conservation and Development Council. This county is a member. And also some of the things I'll talk about was from my past work at Sierra Soil and Water Conservation District. In 2002, after the Sierra Grande fire, New Mexico State Forestry came to the realization that there were an exceptionally large number of other communities at risk from a wildfire, and they created the 20 Communities Initiative. This program was designed to recognize the risk of communities and how to help mitigate a wildland fire. Doug Boykin, New Mexico State Forestry, Socorro Division in Socorro, approached Sierra County in 2003 to begin this process. The major emphasis at that time was to address hazardous fuel loads, so Sierra SWCD requested that they be the lead in this program in Sierra County, since that is a natural resource issue. Initial efforts was to implement a cost-share program with private landowners to help defray the cost of thinning trees and brush around their homes. In addition, the stakeholder group was created to draft a national fire plan, which was requested by President Bush. Sierra SWCD was able to secure more than $500,000 from the New Mexico Association of Counties for hazardous fuel reduction projects throughout Sierra County with a focus on bosque areas. That money needs to be closely aligned to Bureau of Land Management lands, and so that's why the area was focused down here. The district also received 2 U.S. Forest Service grants for fuel reduction totaling $700,000, and funds from New Mexico State Forestry totaling more than $480,000 for cost-share programs for private landowners. Since 2003, Sierra District was able to put more than $1 million on the ground for hazardous fuel reduction. Also accomplished were funds secured for community outreach that included a display board for community events, outreach materials, and a model home to demonstrate impacts of a wildland fire. Those funds exceeded $15,000. During this time, the stakeholders group continued to meet and, based on new direction from Washington, submitted the first Community Wildfire Protection Plan for Sierra County in 2005, which was approved by the County Commission. The plan was updated in 2012 and just recently in 2018. The focus of the group continued on fuel reduction, but they also incorporated education of community leaders and residents. Community assessments were completed 2 times in Kingston and Winston, Chloride, and Poverty Creek, and initial assessments have been completed for the Caballo-Animas Creek area and Las Palomas. We also completed an evacuation exercise at the Poverty Creek Fire Department with participation from the Forest Service, Sierra County Sheriff's Office, Sierra County Commission, the Sierra County Regional Dispatch, and other county volunteer fire departments. Wildfire preparedness for county volunteer fire departments was also a focus. VFDs needed to acquire proper training and equipment so they could respond to wildland fires safely. The Sierra County Commission adopted the Wildland Fire Qualifications Guide, PMS 310-1, standard operating guidelines in response to wildland fires, a wildland fire communication plan, a wildland fire flow chart, and now I lost my place. See, that's how that is. And a wildland fire red card qualifications program so that your fire department members could actually be qualified to respond to fires and contract out and be paid at a higher rate from state forestry. All of these items would ensure that Sierra County and their VFDs had the proper qualifications and training to prepare them for wildland fires. Sierra County utilized funds from the Secure Rural Schools Title III funds to assist in purchasing proper tools and personal protection equipment required for vehicles and VFD members to respond to wildland fires. Those funds also provided for a wildland fire coordinator for the county. This activity occurred while Jan Portocarrejo was county manager. I didn't remember what year that was. So, upon her retirement, Sierra County no longer requested this funding, which had the potential of over $20,000 annually to be used for community outreach, CWPP efforts, and response by local VFDs to emergencies on federal land. Since its inception, the Sierra County Wildland Team had the full and active support of key partners of their fire staff of New Mexico State Forestry, Bureau of Land Management, and U.S. Forest Service. They have continuously provided their own time and equipment to assist in providing wildland firefighting training to county VFD members. And BLM was actually the one who paid for the large fire danger sign erected near the Sonic. Since 2002, I have led the monthly CWPP meetings and facilitated these activities. At this point, it is the belief of the Jornada RC&D Board of Directors that a majority of the work has been completed to reduce hazardous fuel loads. There will always be a need to continue that work. However, most of the work remaining is to have the Sierra County VFD members adhere to the safe wildland firefighting guidelines that were adopted by the county. Based on our most recent CWPP, in 2012, Sierra County VFD members had more than 30 members who are qualified for wildland fire response by taking either the basic firefighter course or their annual refresher. In 2019, there were only 10 members in the entire Sierra County VFD members who had either taken their basic beginning firefighter course or their refresher. It appears that future activities for Sierra County wildland fire preparedness and response will be more of a regulatory process, and so that is not a role of the Jornada RC&D. So after 18 years of bossing around these people at these meetings and facilitating those meetings, I'm going to, the Jornada RC&D would like to turn that responsibility over to the county. I have left in the lobby the CWPP binders that you signed the CWPP. We weren't able to distribute them because COVID started right when we had them ready. So they're in the lobby. The maps, the Sierra SWCD created for them, I have them all in the lobby so that you guys can disperse them appropriately. And I have them labeled so it shouldn't be too complicated. And I also included a flash drive that has all the documents so that you can have all those too. So I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this process. I really learned a lot and I really enjoyed it, but it's time to retire from some things actually. So I'm going to retire from that too. So thank you for that.
Questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Go.
This wasn't just something you did, it was something you
I
slept,
did.
breathed, you dedicated a
loved it.
lot of your time to it, and thank you for your dedication to that.
Well, I really
think-
learned a lot. Your partners in the State Forestry, BLM, and the Forest Service are incredible. They want to help you so much, and so I encourage you to continue with that partnership because they'll do anything they can to help your fire department. So, but they're an incredible bunch of people, and you guys are lucky to have those volunteer fire departments. But I wouldn't want to be one.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's appropriate that we get it, at minimum, a certificate of appreciation for Mary
Oh.
Jo for her time and her dedication
No,
through the
no.
partnership. We do what we want,
Okay.
Mary Jo.
Well, I did it because I love it.
Well,
so
we know, but
Thank you.
it would be the smallest token of our appreciation. I personally have seen your dedication to it, and so I think that's something
Well,
that is
that's very kind of you. to
at
understand
least
that.
the
I
least we
appreciate
could
that.
do.
But I did it because I love it, and you learn so much from these people. They're incredible, and the things that hours, if your volunteer fire department is dedicated to training, there's not a lot of people that would do that, so it's really kudos to them. They're an incredible bunch of people, and I hope that your county residents really appreciate your volunteer fire department members, and that they encourage more people to volunteer because their numbers are small, their ages are most of them are 60, they need help.
And some of them are
Paul's
getting
younger.
close to 60.
Yeah, well, he's
yeah.
younger than the rest of them. So, thank you.
Vice Chair Day was our representative on that RC&D, so you have any comments?
No, I just want to echo what Commissioner Luna said. I've had the opportunity to work with Mary Jo on the CWPP the last 5 years, and the knowledge that we're losing with you leaving, Mary Jo, can never be replaced.
Oh, yeah.
The partnerships you've developed, and the lines of communications that you've opened up between the VFDs and federal agencies, state agencies is second to none. So I just really do
you.
appreciate all you've done, and it's really been a pleasure to work with you throughout the years.
I'm surprised I did this without crying. So. 'Cause it means a lot to me, but and really, like I said, the things that you need to focus on, Sierra will still continue doing hazardous fuel reductions, but, part of it is really the training and the focus needs to be a lot on that, and so I'm hoping, that's your role, certainly not a natural resource role, and so it's time for me to step down and go play with my grandson. So thank you guys again for the time and for this opportunity.
I would like to just say thank you for your 18 years, and let's give her a round of applause.
totally embarrassed.
We ran her off.
Yeah,
Look, and there's my federal partner there.
yeah. Federal
Well,
Partner in crime.
yes.
in life, yeah.
Again, one of your, the county's important partners in your wildland fire response, so.
Welcome, Fire Management Officer Fall. Glad to have you with us. You know, I'm just going to offer a couple of editorial comments because I think it's very critical. I spent close to 40 years in the wildland fire game, and it seems to me that every time there's a big fire, and I go back to the Dude Fire in Payson that killed 6 firefighters in 1990, there's about 2 years that people are willing to make changes in the landscape where they reside in a wildland fire environment, wildland prone. And then it kind of becomes, well, let's go fishing instead of cut trees and brush and clean the gutters and do those fire-safe things that keeps a house from burning when a fire visits. We saw it, the Cerro Grande up at Los Alamos in 2000. Their commission passed a bunch of initiatives. They got some money. They worked on it. If you drive through Los Alamos today, there's a lot of fuels from the ground up to the top of the trees, and fire's periodic. It burns often. Now we're seeing California, Oregon, and Washington burn because they've cut most of the logging and a bunch of the grazing, and they're not doing any fuel treatments. The environmentalists have totally shut them down from doing progressive management. The national forests were made to manage, not to preserve. That's the Park Service, and even Yellowstone Park and Grand Canyon Park are cutting trees to reduce fuels. So I don't know that we've learned enough to keep this going. I'm really, good luck in retirement. Wish you the best, but I'm concerned that we don't lose sight of the value of the community wildfire protection planning and the value of active fuels reduction. We can look at our MEMS fire. I've talked to a lot of people who lived around that said, we couldn't believe it could burn. It was green. We couldn't believe it burned like it did. And if you don't manage those fuels, especially if they're fire prone, they will regenerate. That's what Mother Nature does. Is fire is a replacement tool, and that's fine until people are living in the middle of it. But thank you for your 18 years. This falls under the purview of our emergency management officer and Chief Tooley, and Chief, I'm going to call on you to continue the CWPP and that effort, and we'll need to keep it going in Mary Jo's absence. So thank you for that. We've also got Williamsburg here. Mayor Stubblefield couldn't be here, so Clerk Amanda Cordova is with us. Amanda, welcome. We're glad to have you, and tell us what we need to know.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I'm in here for Deb Stubblefield. She wasn't able to make it. The Village Board of Trustees is requesting your consideration of an MOU with the village to provide emergency services management within the village limits, giving Sierra County Emergency Manager authority in the event of an emergency or a disaster. We don't have anyone in place at this time, and during the flooding that occurred on July the 26th through the 29th, we've been having to do a lot on our own. We don't have the information to give out as far as, resources available and such, and so we need some help.
Well, thank you for bringing that to us, and we will consider it. Any comments or questions, Commissioners?
I do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Amanda, thank you for coming. Do you guys have an outline of exactly what services you're looking for?
Basically, what was been done in the past, Donna Sanchez was the emergency manager back in the day, and moving forward, working and talking with Mr. Tooley, he seems to be the expert on this, so we would probably just leave it up to him for
Okay,
direction.
so you guys don't have a detailed list of exactly what services you do need or do want included in the MOU?
Not a detailed list, no.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Vice Chair?
No, just for me, and please share this report with your board, it's all going to depend on what's in that MOU. I mean, that's what's going to come down to, whether we, for me at least, to feel comfortable approving it or not. So I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done before it comes before this commission on what's exactly in that
Would
document.
it be in detail?
Yeah.
Sure,
So-
yes. But we look forward to working with you all if that's, the way we can go.
Well, I think it's appropriate for you to come to the commission and ask for an MOU. We will ask Chief Tooley, and with some assistance from our flood manager, Travis Atwell, to work out the details of that MOU and bring it back before the commission. Okay?
Mr.
Thank
Chairman,
you.
I have a couple more questions.
Go right ahead.
Before we let her go. Do we not get partial funding for Paul's position through Department of Homeland Security? Or did we lose that funding when Donna left? I remember there was a void and something happened, but I don't know if we got that money back. My thought is there a funding source available to help Williamsburg facilitate their need? Whether that MOU is with us or, however they can get the assistance they need.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Luna, excellent question. We do not get the funding. Actually, very few of the emergency managers are getting it today. What they would pay is, if you have just an emergency manager with no other responsibilities, the state will pay 50% of that salary.
Okay.
If you have, in our case, an emergency manager that also has fire chief responsibilities and fire administration responsibilities, they will cover 25% of that salary. For us, that's about $12,500. With that, we are required to put on 2 exercises, a minimum of 2 exercises a year at about $20,000, that there's no funding for that. So it would cost us more money to take the 25% than it would. That is something that we can discuss with them, whether they want to hire somebody, and the state would cover 50% of that salary. But again, you got to put on those exercises.
Right, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Amanda. Good to see you. Manager Swingle, you ready
Yes, sir.
for reports?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We'll start with the detention center report.
Okay.
The detention center currently has 36 inmates in custody. 33 are in Luna and 3 are in Socorro. We had 58 new arrests for the month, and 54 were released for the month. I'm just going to hit the highlights. Due to COVID, a lot of the in-custody programming at Luna is not taking place. Luna has had quite a bout of COVID cases. When this report was generated at the time, it was, several days ago, they had 51 cases of inmates with COVID in the facility. Not necessarily ours, but inmates in the facility. And they're struggling with that. They've decreased their population to about 40% of its capacity, maybe even a little less than that. Presently, set up special units just for COVID inmates. One of the problems with the COVID in the jail is the lag time from the time of testing to the time that you actually get your results. You're looking at 10 days or thereabout. The average inmate doesn't spend 10 days in custody. They're in and out generally in 1 to 3 days. So it's quite a problem that they're dealing with. I think they've done a great job with it, and they're just now starting to see these cases increase. In the report, I'm not going to read the entire verbiage that Virginia has put together, but there's some verbiage on the 3 grants, the RISE grant, the Comprehensive Opioid Abuse Program, as well as the Behavioral Health Investment Zones grant. And all those programs and grants are moving forward and working out very well for the community. And then lastly, on the last page of her report, you'll see basically a cost breakdown of expenditures for the grants and what's being spent, just to give the commissioners. This is something that she's going to include in the report for the future, so that you'll have this information available to you. Let you know where the funds are actually going for each grant. With respect to the department reports, our auditors are going to be here September 28th through October 2nd. And we've been involved in that process for many months. However, they'll be on site doing site visit, and they're definitely going to keep staff running around providing documentation that they want. I have to remind the commission that, you know, we've had a vacancy in the office. We're one deep in every position, and the staff is just doing a tremendous job. Everybody's just working so hard and helping everybody else get their work done. It's just amazing to watch. Mr. Chair, you already stole my thunder introducing the HR and Administrative Services Director. Christy Wilson is with us. Today is her second day on the job. She started yesterday, and kind of toward the end of the day, you know, ask her how things are going, and she says, you know, nobody talks in this building. It's very quiet. I said, well, A, it's a Monday. B, it's a Monday before a commission meeting on Tuesday. Everybody's got a lot of work to do, and they're hustling around. But it was dead silent. Everyone just moving and getting work done. Actually, concerned me when you brought it to my attention, just how intense everybody was in working and how intense it was. So we gotta have a conversation about that.
But she did come back.
Yes, she did come back. We're glad to have her on board, and welcome to Sierra County, and she's going to do a fantastic job, and I know that she'll love this home that we have here. The 2020 census, it concludes at the end of the month. As of late last week, our current response rate or participation in the census is 37.8%. I sent an email to the state census coordinator and asked them to protest the census numbers. Got some serious action from them. I have a conference call with the state at 2:30 today. We initially did a huge push to have everybody apply online because that's what the Census Bureau asked us to do. And we had a video conference last week, and of the 5 Sierra County residents that were participating on this meeting, 3 of them responded to the census online initially, and has had the Census Bureau come to their door or call them multiple times telling them that they haven't responded to the census. They even have their confirmation numbers. I mean, I've applied on or completed the census online. I didn't save my confirmation number. I did the census, I got confirmation it was done, and I didn't save it. Many of these folks did, and they're informing the Census Bureau of this. They said, well, you need to do it again. How many people are in the same position as those 3 of 5 people were from Sierra County? So based on that, I sent the email to the state coordinator, and we'll see what comes from the meeting this afternoon. But I'm very concerned that big push, everyone I talked to said they did it online. Well, did they do it online and they were counted, or did they do it online and it was all for naught? We don't know that number. So I'll keep the commission posted on what we find out from the state coordinator and from the Census Bureau itself.
That's alarming.
Yeah, it is. Our census, that 37.8%, is actually up from the last census in 2010, is it not?
It is, but we have put a tremendous amount of energy, the community has put a tremendous amount of energy and money in, promoting the census. Our numbers should be considerably higher, and I do believe that they are.
Well, it's alarming that it's that low for what it means to us for 10 years.
That's right. Moving on, the county was awarded $292,000 and some change for the CARE Small Business Grant. We've kicked that off. The applications are online, and we have businesses coming in every day talking to Eloy. And Eloy is taking the lead on this project, and he's absolutely suited to work with the businesses and accomplish this grant project. The businesses that are eligible, that's having 1 to 50 employees, having revenue under $3 million or $2 million, are eligible for $10,000 of grant funding, reimbursement for expenses that they incurred due to COVID. It covers salaries, it covers remodeling or business changes, it covers the cost of PPE. Any cost that they incurred due to COVID is an eligible expenditure, including rent, mortgage, utilities, insurance, things of that nature. So we're very excited to put this on, and I know that the commissioners are really excited to offer this for the business community.
Manager Swingle, is there a deadline on applications?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, the deadline is, for accepting applications is October 10th. It's likely that we will have expensed our entire amount of money prior to that date.
Okay.
And it is a first come, first served based, if you meet the eligible criteria and those are qualifying expenses, you're going to receive the money based on the availability of funding. Now, we did request $500,000. We were reduced in the amount of money that we received. They had $50 million for the grant statewide. They had $109 million worth of requests, so they cut everybody. But I'm delighted to say that we scored 50 out of 50 on our application.
Yeah.
There's 3 entities that received the 50 out of 50, and they received the largest chunk, and it's approximately 60% of the funding that we requested we received. The county was also awarded $50,625 for reimbursement of COVID expenses. We're putting that package together now and submitting for the reimbursement. Today, we have approximately $150,000 worth of COVID expenses, just with Sierra County.
Yeah.
The fairground flooding project is almost complete. They're just doing a little work in the bathrooms in the Albert Lion, and other than that, they'll be done, and the facility will be ready for the limited county fair that we have.
Manager Swingle, that's really a shiny fence. I saw a bunch of kids out there painting,
Thank you. That was
Fence.
the nicest thing you've said about me. I'm just kidding.
and kids and supporters. Of course, you're not as old as some of us here, so. But I think the community effort there has extended, and it's, the fair barn and the fairgrounds are looking better than I ever remember to have suffered a flood. They're really shined up and make a much better image for the county and the community.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think, back to Ernie and the facility management crew,
Exactly.
the road department,
Yep.
and Billy and his staff, they just did a fantastic job, particularly at the initial emergency itself, really mitigating a lot of the damage that we could have experienced. Mooring is the restoration company, the company that actually came in and did the work. They had as many as 40 employees working in that facility, and this company does nothing but disaster mitigation. So they did a fantastic job, and can't thank the New Mexico counties enough, for our insurance carrier, for getting these folks on board and getting them here as quickly as they did. We did submit for $20,000 of reimbursement of costs that the county incurred in the flood, that we've submitted to them for reimbursement, and I'm confident that we'll receive all of it back. I know it's important for the commissioners. We have received consensus, we have consensus on the new building design from all the departments, and we actually have a conference call, I believe, tomorrow with the architects to move forward. So once we have that call and we're sure that it's all 100% set in stone, then I'll forward it to the commissioners again. Minor changes from what you saw in the last draft.
I know that was a considerable challenge. You need a herding cat certificate for successfully getting that consensus, so thank you.
Well, we'd love to give everybody everything they want, but we have limited funding. We have adequate funding, but we still have limited funding, and we have to get everybody in one house. The county's emergency declaration expired in August, and at this point, I see no need to renew the declaration. Things are really winding down. And if in the future things change for Sierra County, then I'll approach the commission. We'll talk about whether we need to move forward with renewing the declaration or not, but I don't believe it's important at this point. On September 23rd, I have a meeting out at Spin Lunch with the Spin Lunch owner and management team, Secretary Keys from State Economic Development, and Representative Dow to talk about the steps moving forward for the future of Spin Lunch in Sierra County. And SVH Governing Board has their monthly meeting on September 14th, just for your information. The assessor's office is finalizing protests currently, and it appears that only one protest will go into a formal protest if it's not equitably addressed in the next couple of days. The staff's continuing their inspections of sales and building permits, and they update and reevaluating. The sales ratios are ongoing and as time permits for them. They really got behind with the COVID pandemic, particularly in the first couple of months when we had limited staff working. A lot of the field work was really hampered as well because we did not allow the field activities. Under emergency management, Paul continues to keep the community informed of germane information on the pandemic, PPE, funds that are available, business funds that are available, and just essential information that they need. He's doing that through social media and through KCHS. Ironically, we're putting the numbers together for what our costs have been. And thus far, the county's actually spent over 4,300 hours of labor on the COVID response for this community. That's over two full-time employees working on that response. County continues to process personal protective equipment orders for the entities. We're kind of hitting a real challenging point right now. The state is now requiring the entities to submit 3 quotes where they were denied personal protective equipment. The process is really becoming cumbersome. The hospital for a couple of weeks now is trying to get gloves, extra large gloves. So we put in another request yesterday with all the documentation and really urged them. I know Paul talked to them personally with the request as it was submitted. The hospital needs this. They're kind of at a critical point. They had their 3 quotes. The first time the state really wasn't accepting the verbiage. With the companies, you get an allotment for a given period of time. Once you've hit that 100% of your allotment, you have 0 capacity to get any more of that particular piece of PPE. So that language they didn't like. The state wanted the language basically saying that the company is not going to provide them the PPE at this time, that there was none available for them. So they're having kittens at the hospital trying to get this. You know, they're trying to deal with patients and the pandemic itself and not so much on the paperwork. That kind of follows, but they're having to take that extra step right now. Currently, the county has provided over 90,000 pieces of personal protective equipment to the hospital, to the Veterans Home, to Ben Archer, to the Sierra Health Center, as well as to local governments and county offices as well. Paul's been working with the schools and getting the PPE for the schools if and when that materializes and kids go back to school, and also for the county fair for the kids and for the individuals that are working that. Under facilities management, they were very busy working on the flooding issues, as they have been for the last 30 days, and busy cutting weeds. I don't know about your yards, but the county properties are with the moisture we've had, really getting out of control. So they've been busy doing that, doing their COVID cleaning of the buildings, and they installed an air conditioner unit at the courthouse, And I think most importantly to the flood director, Travis Day, they replaced the roof on his building.
That well.
Which was,
Travis Atwell.
I'm sorry, the other Travis.
I was like, wow, how did that happen?
He sent pictures of it. Project looked really good, and I know Travis was very appreciative of facility management's efforts. Flood control, continued increasing number of building permits coming forward. Construction seems to be very busy in Sierra County at this point. He started emergency mitigation repairs on Mr. Montoya's property, which is located just west of the Albert Lyon Center. And I think you probably all have looked out at that property and saw the damage. I went out yesterday just to see how much work had been done. And if you remember where the well was, it was kind of in the center of the drainage. That has completely been backfilled, and it's safe again. So it's how long that it will stay safe depending on the weather and what we do and what is done upstream to mitigate that flood concern. And he's also working maintenance on levees throughout the county. He's currently in the Tierra Blanca area. Under the misdemeanor compliance program, misdemeanor and pre-prosecution, they have 38 misdemeanor clients and 1 pre-prosecution diversion. Pre-trial compliance has 156 clients. 123 are in town and 33 out of town. DWI compliance has 52 clients, and electronic monitoring has 37 clients. The county is chip sealing the St. Cloud Mine Road in Winston. They've had some setbacks with some of the property owners, or a property owner, but we've all worked through that. We're moving forward, and as the chair mentioned on one of our breaks, the project's looking really good, and very excited about that. Billy's doing a fantastic job, and I know that Bar 2 has been really working with them on the delays they had. The delay that we had was close to a month in setting the road department back. They also were involved in the flooding and damage to the roads from that storm that we had. Blades have been out working blading roads. It's ideal time to do it with the moisture in the soil. SCRTA, the only thing that SCRTA wanted to report that they have a board meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. and it'll be at the Date Street property. The Treasurer's Office is reporting. One, they sent their financial report to you, and it's included in your packet, your board packet. All the payroll errors have been corrected, and the office is balanced, which that's been a many month issue and concern. That's been resolved, and the office rolled over the FY 2021 beginning balances for the budget. The office completed several transfers, which decreased the general fund below $1 million. It's just below $1 million, but it is below. The other money went into investments and into the building construction fund. Tax bills have been ordered, and the plan is to have them out at the end of October. The office is calculating new tax rates and entering the balance with the assessor's office for FY 2021 for the tax calculated amounts. And the assessor's office, tax values in the treasurer's office scheduled balances, they're tax scheduled balanced to the penny. And they're both pretty excited about that.
Congratulations.
I think that it did not require a lot of work in reconciling the two offices, and pretty pleased about that. Mr. Chair, that's all I have for the county departments. I have to stand for any questions that the commission may
I
have.
didn't even think there'd be one. It was complete,
Well,
thank you.
that's just amazing when you have budgets and the tax rates and the things that we deal with to balance to the penny on both sides is, it just is another compliment to their accuracy and the intensity with which the job is done. So thanks for that. Attorney Pato, do you have anything for the commission for reports?
Mr. Chairman, I don't, except that we just briefly worked on draft letter to the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee regarding the designation of wild and scenic rivers. And Mr. Chairman, you've been very critical and central in working on that, and I appreciate your help in getting that out to the legislators.
There'll be a hearing tomorrow in the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee considering the bill and whether to move it forward. So appreciate your help and Manager Swingle's help in getting that together. We actually sent the letter for the Southwest County Commission Alliance, which is 6 counties: Hidalgo, Luna, Grant, Catron, Sierra, and Socorro. And as a group, we protested the designation of the Gila River and tributaries for wild and scenic river consideration. So thank you for your help on that. Commissioner Luna, you have anything for the group?
Actually, I was gonna ask if we could have an update from the clerk on the election status
Clerk Shelley?
before I give mine, sorry.
We will be taking ballots this week to get the sample ballots out. I want to give a huge thank you to Ernie and his crew we got new carpet put in this weekend from the flood damage, and his crew came in on Sunday and reset all our computers up, and they worked hard. The
Good.
election's going great. Our UOCAVA, which is our overseas voters, will be getting their ballots by September 19th, which is Saturday.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, when you meet with Rebecca and those folks at the Spaceport, Cabinet Secretary Keyes, I learned over the weekend that the Spaceport lost at least one company to California because of the turmoil and drama, for lack of better words, that is happening within the Spaceport America and the structure and the investigation and such. I think it's crucial that they get that taken care of. You and I sat in on a conference call that was more like an interrogation, I believe, about the happenings with Dan, and I just think that it's imperative to Spaceport America's success, Sierra County's growth, that gets taken care of. We can't be waiting forever for the process to go. It's been 13 weeks, and I understand it's been in the middle of COVID and everything else, but they know what they're going to do. They know what's going to happen. Let's get the move on. And I don't know if it's appropriate if I send an email to her explaining my personal frustration with that, or if it's more appropriate for you to express that at your meeting tomorrow. But I think that she needs to know it is hurting Spaceport America. It is hurting Sierra County. It's hurting Doña Ana County. It's hurting New Mexico. We need to get the ball rolling on that.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but it's just very frustrating. So,
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Lynn, I'll be glad to communicate the concerns to the Secretary. I've asked that the Spaceport come and give a presentation to the Commission, going on 3 months now, to come and update you, tell you, inform you what's going on out there. You have skin in the game. You have 2/8 gross receipts tax in the game, and that's meaningful. And you need to have some feedback of what's going on. I'll reiterate that again when I meet with the Secretary.
okay, thank you. That's really my only comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
We did get approval for a fair.
I didn't ask anybody for approval, but we have a public health order that lays out the guidelines for that. And so the County Fair Board will have their final preparatory meeting tomorrow night to finalize everything to the latest health order that will allow us to do whatever we can. Thank you to Paul and Bruce for getting the face shields. Every exhibitor and every person there will be wearing a mask. There are some parents who are very unhappy with that, and as I've explained to them, this isn't about their political views or ideals at the moment. This is about kids getting to show their animals. So if they don't like it, to my husband included, you can sit in the truck. But we are going to show animals, and we will have an actual live in-person sale, so.
I think for our virtual audience, it's important for them to hear that, so thank you.
There will be limited access, and the Fair Board is working on live streaming all of the shows, and then we will have the current setup for our meeting at our livestock sale, so it will be viewed. You can see it on YouTube and Facebook and all the avenues there are out there, so that way we're not excluding anyone, and we're not having anyone who would like to come not be able to at least see what's going on with their kids or grandkids.
That's great.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Day?
I do have a report. I just wanted to give a shout out to Bruce on getting involved with the CARES Act package. I'm absolutely excited that we got the $50,000 as a county, but I'm even more excited that we're able to provide just under $293,000 to our small businesses. So I just want to commend you, Bruce, and thank you for stepping up and getting that application in. Your dedication to business community is second to none, and I just appreciate your effort in doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Commissioner. It's a reflection of the commission. This is where you want to go. You want to provide that support to the businesses, and it's our job to find it for them, find the resources.
Anything else?
That's it.
Well, because we're in a virtual meeting, we don't have a whole lot of public here, but we do have some folks that have stepped in since we introduced guests. We have TRC Police Chief Mike Apodaca. Mike, good to see you, and Assistant Chief Erica Baker. We have Under Sheriff Dave Elston and Lieutenant Josh Baker. And Sergeant Reyes, it's good for you to be with us. Thank you for that. We'll go on to the next item, which is the Board of Finance. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, what you have before you is Resolution 109-018. This is a resolution transferring money from the 548 Mental Health Fund and the 609 EMS Fund, and put the money into the 606, which is the Emergency Communications, the SCRTA Fund. This is something that was discussed in the budget workshop. We talked about moving those funds into the SCRTA Fund to cover the county's portion of the contribution to SCRTA.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Day moves to approve Resolution 109-018 as presented.
Commissioner Luna seconds.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Luna?
Yes.
The resolution is approved. Old business, the resolution establishing Film, Media, and Music Advisory Board. Mr. Manager.
Mr. Chairman, at the last commission meeting, the commission approved Resolution 109-013, basically establishing a Film, Media, and Music Advisory Board. Today, you have a number of candidates that have submitted their interest in serving on that board. I imagine that we will continue to get more and more interest as time moves on. Right now, you have Rod McCall, Christina Rhodes, Tamir Rawlings, and Nami Rivera, who have submitted letters and information of interest for the commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's appropriate that we approve the appointment of all four of these individuals. I do wonder if we should appoint someone to take the lead on it, so that way there is someone who's driving this versus four people who are now on a board, and I don't know if it's appropriate that they then appoint their chairman, or we just kind of put someone as the chairman for the time being until they get some leadership going. What's the will of the commission?
So, Mr. Chair, I think since there's only 4 names, it could be a 2-2 on who's the chair, so I think it would be appropriate right now for the commission to select who kind of takes the lead. I don't know if we call it chair or just the person that steps up to the plate, until we get kind of that fifth person where there can be a vote on who's chair.
A question arises, what is Jager's relationship and position with this advisory board?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Jagger is, well, one, he has not submitted a letter of interest. He is the county's appointed designee, and he basically works with companies that want to, as the film industry liaison, he works with the film industry on meeting their needs. If they need a road closed, they contact Jagger. He makes sure that gets done, or puts them in contact with the appropriate people. If they need caterers, things of that nature, Jagger takes the lead to coordinate that with them. So they work together, but they're separate entities at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
So I believe it's appropriate that personally I've worked with Nani. She has the connections with the office. She and John Hendry are actually the ones who kind of proposed this new concept, and I believe that Bruce has met with her as well. She has devoted a lot of time behind the scenes already. So I would, without further ado, appoint like to make a motion to appoint all 4 of these candidates and make Nani Rivera the lead at this time.
Mr. I'm just looking at the letters here. Nani is the only one that does specify she would like to, she has it on chair, but step up, so I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Motion is made and seconded. Roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson,
Yes.
Commissioner Day,
Yes.
Commissioner Luna,
Yes.
So the motion is approved. We have 4 members and a chairman of Nani Rivera. Pay plan recommendations, Manager Swingle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. You have a copy of the finalized pay plan proposal. And bottom line, the dollars between the current budget and the proposed plan with the elimination of a position is a net savings of $46,000. So it's actually less than what's budgeted. It increases the dollar value for the hourly rate of each employee, as well as the ancillary cost for FICA, Medicaid, and retiree health care. Those increases are also included in this. So you're looking at, again, $46,000 savings.
That's just for the sheriffs.
Yeah, just for the
This
sheriff.
This is just the sheriff's office.
Yep.
Would you like to handle them
Let's go through
individually?
all, yeah, if we could go through all of them.
Okay. The next one is detention. The detention proposed budget was a $1 increase for the officers and the administrative assistant, and $1.50 per hour for the sergeants. The net difference is $29,000, which the detention director will absorb out of her budget. Under the misdemeanor compliance program, there was a $1 an hour increase for Sandra Lucero, and that would be absorbed out of the department's program fees budget. And Flood Director Travis Atwell, he is looking at a salary increase. It's about $4 an hour more, and capping his salary at $63,000, and that is absorbed. It is currently in his budget, and it would be absorbed in that budget. Those would not be general fund dollars.
And that brings him to what the regional other flood managers are.
Based on the analysis that he did, it certainly brings him within that standard. It's important to note that when we hired a company to do the salary study a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, the company had no way to compare the flood director.
Yeah.
There just aren't enough of them out there in New Mexico and throughout the country. So they did not include that salary study in the salary study. So he did the appropriate thing of getting some comparables
We don't have any further input from detention, misdemeanor compliance, and flood manager, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Sheriff, do you have anything that you would like to convey to the commission?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm just only add that after the workshop this last week, I think we've met all the requirements that were put out there for us. Had the opportunity to provide that information to the county manager, and again, it's not only budget friendly, but quite a cost savings as well. So I'm just urge your support. This is not just gonna put a Band-Aid on a problem. This is gonna fix a huge problem that we have. I just
Thank you,
thank you in advance.
Comments prior to motions? Commissioners?
I just have one question for the sheriff. So with this, we're eliminating 2 positions. Right, that was one of my questions at the last commission meeting, whether we're eliminating 1 or 2. So with this, we're eliminating 2 positions.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Day, that's correct.
Okay. And, go ahead, I'll let you finish.
Upon further, again, consideration for this, we wanted to ensure that first and foremost, this was budget neutral. But also that it's going to be easier to replace 3 positions, 3 vacant, 4 with the investigator, than it was to bring on 5. So we were willing to do whatever we needed to do and make whatever cuts we were able to cut, and still be able to get the job done. I had made the comment to staff when we were discussing this. From about 2000 to current date, there's been at least 3 administrations that have come in and asked for additional deputy positions, and received those. But looking at a lot of the numbers, that's really what put us in this situation to begin with. Put us in the situation where we were behind what the pay was for our particular region. It's because we kept bringing in positions and taking additional monies to create those new positions, but we weren't actually addressing the concerns that we had, or the problems that we had in paying those officers that we currently had, in order to keep them in those positions, and to be able, when those were vacated, to be able to recruit qualified candidates. So I think this is, again, as opposed to having to fill 5 or 6 positions, having to fill 3 or 4 is going to be much easier. And then it's going to bring us up competitive with those other agencies that we would otherwise lose individuals for, or that we could recruit individuals from as well.
And so, Mr. Sheriff, if I may, just one more question, Sheriff. So how does this pay proposal, whenever a new deputy comes in certified, how does the starting pay within this proposal compare to, say, the Tier C PD?
So we're still going to be behind, I believe the Tier C Police Department, the chief can answer this, 2108 for certified.
2108 certified, 1505 uncertified.
1505.
So although we're looking at 1916 for starting certified, it potentially would put us back, but in Commissioner Luna's request to the comparison, the county pays that 90% in our health care versus the 80%. What we found in that comparison was that although we're still behind, we're not that far behind. And again, we went from trying to bring our pay up to what it was for our sister agency that we would compete with here in TRC, to looking at a more regional approach to it there. Because again, we recruit individuals from the Las Cruces area. We potentially would recruit people from Socorro or Alamogordo to come into our community there. So I think this really gives us an opportunity to one, compete for those regional officers, as opposed to the TRC Police Department and the Sheriff's Office swapping employees every other year, every 4 or 5 years. Again, this I think it's going to, it still puts us in view of their taillights, but again, as Commissioner Luna indicated there, the county, Sierra County, we have a few more options in our benefit package. Retirement health care is one of the things that we offer to our employees that the police department may not offer to their employees. So again, we have some things that are more beneficial or that may be more attractive to would-be employees versus those individuals that may just be looking at the dollar per hour.
Thank you.
So I hope that answered your question.
It does, thank you.
Commissioner Luna?
Hold on, boys and girls. How many deputies have you lost in the last 12 months?
6, 7? 7 with the investigator.
Okay, we won't count that one. And one of the most recents was a problem. Then we lost 1 to the PD and 2 to the private sector, correct? So
That's
of
correct.
that,
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Luna, I believe that's correct, yes.
so of that, 2 of those went to a private sector where they put their career on, they threw 26 weeks of their life away to go to a private sector, to not have retirement, to not have health care, to not have any of those things that we do offer. I still fight with this, that I don't see this plan as fixing the problem. We are still gonna be less than the PD. When you came to us in the beginning, it was to compete with them. We're still not gonna be competing with them when we have people who are willing to put 26 weeks of their life and their career to the side with no guarantee of all the benefits that we do offer now. There is a bigger problem there. These pennies are not the problem. They're not the solver. So I still worry about that. I still worry about, at the last meeting when we went over this, we said we don't want to be here in a year, but we're going to be back here in a year because they're going to still have the gross receipts tax. We're still not even with them, and we're still going to be seeing the tail lights. I also have a problem with, we sat in budget hearings and we asked 100% of our employees and 100% of our departments to take a cut. We cut some line items, $20, $50. If there was a stamp not used, we took that 50 cents because we needed it to balance. We waited on the construction project of our new building because we wanted to make sure the money was there. And I think it's great that there's a $24,000 saving, but I have a problem when 75% of the employees will not be seeing a raise from this. I'm not saying that the law enforcement do not deserve a raise. They do deserve a raise, but so does every other employee who's working for the county. So do the ones who are sharpening the pencils and making sure our election is correct and making sure our budgets are balanced. Every single one of them deserve a raise. We heard from the DWI for 1 of 4 employees, the flood 1 of 1, the jail for 10 of 12 employees, and the sheriff's office for their staff, which doesn't include the elected officials and the office staff that just received the increase in our last adjustment. But we did not hear raise requests from the road department, the administration, the clerk, the treasurer, the assessor, the maintenance department. I don't see how we can ask every single department to take a hit this year, especially with this year with not knowing what's going to happen, and then give raises to a couple of departments. I will say that the flood department is its own beast. Those are tax dollars. That's a different beast of and in itself. But I am not comfortable hurting the morale of 75% of this county for a morale boost for 25%. That's my personal struggle. I have thought about it. I've prayed about it. I've lost sleep about it. I just am not comfortable. The county employees need to know this commission stands behind all of them. Every single one of them, not just the sheriff's department, not just the clerk's department, not just the administration. We have to stand with every one of them. And when we asked every one of them to make a cut, they all stood with us. And now here we are, 2 months later, we're going to turn around and say, to heck with you who made the cut, but we're going to stand with the sheriffs and give him a raise. I'm not comfortable with that. So I thank everybody for their time and their work, and I I thank the sheriff's departments and the deputies for your dedication to a very unflattering career nowadays. I thank you for putting your lives on the line for us. And if I was sitting in this commission room at budget time next year, I would be fighting the hardest to make sure you got the raises first. But I would be fighting for everybody to get a raise, not just you guys. I just am not at a place where I can support this right now. Those are my comments.
I will say that we went through an excruciating budget process, and in that budget process, we eliminated approximately $1 million from the budget, didn't we? Did we lose any positions?
One. We cut the funding for the assistant at the extension office.
That is correct, yes.
Did we have any reductions in salaries of any employees?
No.
And we just went through a pay plan study and a proposal where most of the county employees received raises at the end of 2018, didn't they?
Yes.
I think that those comments are valid, and you're certainly entitled to your opinion, Commissioner Luna. I think that's what we're about, is expressing our opinions. Close to 3 months now, I told the sheriff that you're an elected official, you have a job to do, you have a budget to manage. There are no additional dollars for the county. So you need to be creative. You need to figure out what you're going to do within your budget. I think the sheriff has made significant sacrifices. It started out with 1 certified deputy position, now it's 2. And I think that we may be in the taillights of the city of Tier C police department, but we're in the taillights of every organization in law enforcement in the southwest part of the state. It still astounds me that Catron County pays their couple of deputies. How many deputies do they have, Sheriff? Is it 6? $22 an hour. $22 an hour. And Catron County lives entirely on PILT, which is a gamble every year. As far as my position on the commission, I think that the sheriff has met the challenge. I very much want to be able to provide all of our employees with an appropriate wage for the work that they do, recognizing how quiet it was last week getting ready for this meeting and the things that we've done. Everybody's busy. Everybody is given 110%. Everybody is trying to make things work for the community as a part of Sierra County. I really support that. My personal opinion is that this is the right thing to do at this point in time for the sheriff's office. Commissioner Day, do you have any comments?
I do. So, Commissioner Luna, thank you. And, I completely understand where you're coming from. I do. I was the one that put off the Amens building. I was sitting in the same room as my fellow commissioners, and we were cutting budgets. It was not enjoyable. It was not fun. I said it back in March. Doing budgets this year is going to be horrible. I'm not looking forward to it. And I will be the first to say, if any of these proposals came in, even $1 over what we budgeted for them, it would have been an instant no for me. Because again, we cut budgets. We're not giving anyone any more room in their budget. It's our responsibility to give these departments their budgets and allow them to work within that budget. And that's what these departments have done. Now, I understand not every department has the opportunity to cut positions. I fully get that. These departments do have that opportunity, and this is what they're asking for. Next year, GRTs may come in phenomenal. We get a few more businesses where our GRTs coming up, property taxes are up, we have more money. I can tell you right now, I've looked at what each employee is bringing home. The clerk's office, the assessor's office, or all the admin are going to be the ones I'm fighting for whenever we do get that surplus money to get the raises in the future. The sheriff's department, the flood director, and detention and misdemeanor compliance, they have the opportunity right now to get more money to their employees. The opportunity will come up for the clerk's office, will be the assessor's office, and I'll be the first one to fight for them whenever we have that opportunity. Where in the future, when that opportunity comes up, the sheriff's department's going to be at the bottom of the list. Detention's going to be at the bottom of the list. They have the opportunity right now, we're giving them that opportunity. The clerk's office and the assessor's office and other departments will have that opportunity. And they'll be given that opportunity when it comes up. I completely understand, the issue with morale, and no one on this commission is going to argue that every department is essential to the success of county operations. No one's arguing that. Each department comes with their challenges, comes with their advantages. The sheriff's department, the detention office, and even the misdemeanor compliance office, they have a little more issues within their departments. Our deputies are going out in the field and not knowing if they're going to come home. That is an honest risk, and I think we share that same support for the sheriffs in that capacity. But that's a little more of a risk to take when they're coming to a job versus admin office, clerk's office. That's an additional risk that they take. And again, if they were asking for $1 more in the budget, I'd be the first to say, no, we're not doing this, because we did cut budgets. We did tell people, we're taking your 50-cent stamps. And so if someone came in later on and said, we want $1, it's a no, just because we did have to cut budgets. This is something that does put us in the headlights of the city PD. It puts us competitive regionally. And so and they've jumped through many hoops that this commission has given them. This has changed, I believe, 5 times now. And so for me, it's nice that this is finally finalized. And I had a conversation with the sheriff, and I told him, I shared my frustrations. We need to get this down because my patience is running out. I said it during the workshop. I'm losing my patience on this. Let's figure out the numbers. And we finally have done that. The sheriff is saving us a little under $47,000. And I appreciate that. He's saving us money. So I'll throw this motion out there and see where it goes. So I move to approve the pay plan recommendations, including eliminating 2 sheriff's deputy positions, vacant sheriff's deputy positions.
Vice Chair Day, does that include the pay plan for
That includes
detention,
all the pay plan
misdemeanor
recommendations that's in our
compliance,
packet.
flood, and misdemeanor compliance? I also need to go back and reiterate that the sheriff's office participated willingly in the reduction of the budgets, and I don't recall what the reduction for the sheriff's office was for this year. Do you, Manager Swingle?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, you're talking about the amount that was cut from the sheriff's budget?
Yes.
It was substantial.
Yeah.
I think the sheriff worked with us quite well in minimizing that budget.
Was it approximately $80,000,
I was
Sheriff?
thinking it was 85.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I don't have the exact numbers, but it was between $60,000 and $80,000 at best estimates.
So a motion has been made to approve the pay plan for detention, misdemeanor compliance, flood, and the sheriff's office. Is there a second? I will second the motion. There's a motion and second. A roll call. Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Luna?
No.
On a 2-to-1 vote, the motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I would like it noted in the record, I do support our sheriff's office and our deputies, but I don't think this fixes the problem, and I don't think it's fair to all of the employees in Sierra County.
Mr. If I may, I hope what I was stated didn't make it sound like you didn't. 'Cause
No, I just want it
you know
for the
where I
record.
stand, yeah.
Because there were some deputies who posted some very unflattering things about my support, and that's not true.
Well, we will move on. We will move forward. This was a very difficult process, and I appreciate all involved being willing to be above board and input their thoughts, and that includes you, Commissioner Luna. I think that's the way government works, is that we see what works best, and the vote carried the motion. So we'll go on to new business and contracts and agreements. Manager Swingle and Jocelyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. The first contract you have, or purchasing agreement you have, is between the county and the Los Palomas EMS and Zoll Medical. They received grant funding for a defibrillator. And it's kind of a complicated procurement, so I'll turn that over to Jocelyn.
Morning.
Commissioner Chair. So basically, they got the funding for this defibrillator, and it's considered a sole source because of the equipment that they currently have, and the company that manages that is no longer in business. So the Zoll series is the one that's compatible with the systems they have in place. So I posted it as a sole source. I haven't heard anything back yet, so I don't believe I will either. And then it was in the agenda to have the finances done through the resolution, because it wasn't done last month for whatever reason. But once that's completed, and with your approval, because of the cost, I can move forward to get the defibrillator for the department. And that's where that stands.
Questions?
Is this one with Bluetooth?
Everything. It's like a screen on the, everything's in it. For 30 grand, it better have satellite towers.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Luna makes a motion to approve the sole source purchase.
Commissioner Day seconds.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Shelley.
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Luna?
Yes.
Motion passes. Agreement between Socorro County and Sierra County. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. What you have before you is a agreement between Sierra County and Socorro County housing adult inmates. Apparently, the increase in cost per day from Luna County is carried over into Socorro County. They also now, with the amended contract, are wanting $75 a day per inmate. I have no other change that I'm aware of in the contract.
There
Jocelyn.
wasn't any other change, and moving forward, that's what they're gonna charge us to have them anyway, so basically it's a formality in my opinion.
We typically don't have a lot of inmates in Socorro,
Yeah.
but we really wanted to move more out of Luna into Socorro with the cost increase. Now they're both the same amount, so it's a moot issue at this point. Over excess will go to Socorro.
We need the option in case we need it.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Luna makes a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Shelley.
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Luna?
Yes.
The agreement is authorized. Resolutions and ordinances, County Manager.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, what you have before you is Resolution 109-015. This is a resolution that's required by the state adopting the Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan, ICRP. What the commission needs to do at this point is prioritize the first 5 projects that you would like to include. We'll make that change and submit that with the resolution, should the commissioners adopt the resolution.
So we need to prioritize in passing this resolution?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there thoughts on the ratings?
I'm actually fine with the way it's listed.
Starting with the shuttle is the highest? So it would be those first 5 and then continue down?
Yep.
As money becomes available?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So Commissioner Day moves to approve the resolution 109-015 as presented.
Commissioner Luna seconds.
Moved and seconded with the first 5 to be the top 5 in the plan for fiscal year 2022 through 2026. Roll call,
Mr.
Shelley.
Chairman, if I could, real quick, a discussion. With us possibly looking at 142, would it be appropriate for that Monticello Bridge to be moved up, the Monticello Bridge improvements to be moved up on the list? In the swap that we're looking at?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh, it's
I
not.
had a note over here and then it got buried in. So
We
You
that,
want to move
We
it up
don't
to-
have that approved from the Department of Transportation to them take over the Spaceport Road and us get 142 yet, do we?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, you should have that on the October meeting. They're working on the language. They have to have all of the roads that have been discussed surveyed, and they're trying to have it all accomplished for the October meeting, and then they'll take it immediately after that to the State Transportation Commission for acceptance.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to withdraw my second.
I'll withdraw my motion as well.
Sorry.
No, no, it's-
So, Mr. Chairman, with that being said, I think that it might also be more appropriate if we move the Hillsborough mobile radar speed sign up, as well as the Monticello Bridge project up. And I would even think that maybe Monticello Bridge become number 3, SVH renovations become 4, radar sign 5, and then road department equipment 6.
Go through that again, please.
Oh my gosh, I was doing good the first time. Okay, so Monticello Bridge become 3. Hillsborough radar speed sign 4. Wait, what did I?
yeah,
5.
5.
SVH is 4, sorry, thank you. And then road department equipment would be 6, and then Hillsborough kitchen renovation would be 7. And then everything else would fall down.
What was 5?
Shelley?
Hillsborough
The Hills-
Mobile Radar Sign.
Radar sign, thank you.
The only issue I have, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, with the radar
Go
sign
ahead.
is the issue with DOT. If we're installing it, if we get funding to install it, we have to have approval from DOT if it's within their easement.
And I was wondering when we read those in the ICIP public hearing, is there not a way for them to request that through DOT themselves?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, they can, and I believe they've had a number of discussions with the DOT about that. I don't think they've gotten anywhere with it.
I know it's 5,000, but it just worries me. We get it approved,
Yeah.
we get the money, and then DOT says, we're not looking at it for 10 years or hypothetical. That's my only concern
Right.
with that one.
Sheriff Hamilton, you have some input.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, if I may, about 7 months ago, I had the opportunity to attend a meeting with New Mexico Department of Transportation, Representative Martinez from that district, as well as some other officials from the Department of Finance. They were actually looking at getting that monies appropriated as a project through DOT for that particular area. As one of the issues, and even I apologize, I forget her name, the president of the Hillsborough.
Gretchen.
Gretchen.
So Gret, even as she had indicated in there, any additional, or any measures that they have attempted to take to mitigate that issue up there, whether it be cones or, they have been removed by Department of Transportation, and because that's all a right-of-way section. So we had a similar issue with the array flashing signs for the school zone. When it went out a couple of years ago, they didn't know whether the array school was the one that purchased those signs or whether DOT. As it turned out, because they were on DOT property, even if there was funding that was available for that, it became the responsibility of DOT to get those fixed. Our concern was if we put this on the ICIP list and we get the funding for it there, that DOT, since it hasn't been approved by them and it's not one of their projects, that there may be some hesitance in them working with Hillsborough to get those in place. As I shared with Manager Swingle and Commissioner Day during the break, we've got a portable unit that we take up there. That was what started this conversation. Really, these are effective devices. These are effective apparatus. When that thing starts flashing, letting you know that you're exceeding the posted speed limit there, we see brake lights. I mean, it's a very effective tool. And that's why we've been working with Representative Martinez's office and the DOT to try to get the funding for this. Of course, DOT has to do a traffic study, an engineering study with that particular roadway. So it could be a lengthy process, but I do know that Representative Martinez's office has been in contact with DOT in which to try to get funding for this particular project in that area. So I hope that was helpful.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'm fine leaving it further down then, because it does look like it's on the process, and then by maybe next year, we can even take it off. You guys can take it off.
Okay.
So, put it back down. Sorry,
Could we go
Shelley.
through them one more time?
Shelley, what do you have as it? Or Bruce?
Mr. Chair,
Sorry.
Commissioners, the road department equipment would move to number 5, and
Okay,
so on, okay.
perfect. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Commissioner Day, Chairman
good with that.
Paxton, are you guys
I'm
good?
good with that.
Is there a motion?
Commissioner Luna will make a motion, we approve as amended. Please
Commissioner
don't
Days.
expect me to read that.
Commissioner Day seconds.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Luna?
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Day moves to go into executive session pursuant to Section 10-15 E through H to discuss matters in regards of pending and threatened litigation, personnel, and real estate as listed on the agenda.
So we will go into executive session. We will
We need a
return.
vote. We need a
Oh,
vote.
excuse me.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Luna seconds.
Commissioner Paxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Luna?
Yes.
Okay, we are in executive session. We'll bring the commission back from executive session. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner
Yes, sir.
Day moves to come out of executive session and certifies that no action was taken and only matters listed on the agenda were discussed.
Commissioner Luna seconds.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Luna?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Luna?
Yes.
What is our next commission meeting? Manager Swingle?
October
20th.
20th.
October 20th. And we'll meet again then. So this meeting is adjourned.